Hello, my name is Christine, and this is Soft Skills Conversations. This is where we take some time to have a conversation in what I like to call informal but informative conversations. And it's a very fine day for me. I have been looking forward to this conversation for a very, very long time. My friend Joyce is here, and the most special thing is this: Joyce is here in person. And so it's my great pleasure to introduce Joyce Owaga. Remember the last time we had a conversation, I said her book was coming out. Here it is. It's on caregiving. We're going to be talking about this. Okay, this here finally is Joyce Owaga. Joyce, it is so nice to see you.
It is so nice to be here in person.
I know.
Long time.
And I'm so glad that you made the time. You just got here.
Yes.
And you're possibly still jet lagged, but it's a great pleasure to have you. How does it feel to be home?
Feels good.
Okay.
East West, home is best all the time.
I can imagine. Now, to pick up from our last conversation, and for viewers who are watching, if you did not catch the last conversation that Joyce and I had a few months ago, I'm going to put a link to it down here. It's a good introduction to this conversation. But Joyce and I have been friends for the longest time. We were together in high school, we were together in college, and we've come a long way. And she was very vulnerable. Actually, people who commented on that video, and it had more views than my usual. And most people said she allowed herself to be so vulnerable. That's what spoke to people. I don't know what that experience was like for you.
I think for me, the experience was more healing. I benefited more from the video because just talking about my story helps me, first of all, to heal, but secondly, to talk for that person, to be a voice for that person who is not at that point where they can talk about their story. And just knowing that the story can bring healing to somebody else, or can encourage them or strengthen them or give them hope. I think for me that is really fulfilling, that it can make a difference to somebody here.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I'm sure there's people who are going to watch this who do not have the background, who do not know, because you and I went to school to study business.
Yes.
And so now we are talking about caregiving and medical, and you've gone on to develop a career in the medical. Maybe just briefly, how did you transition from being a business major to becoming a medic?
Well, like I said, I narrated most of the issues in the first video, but just to recap, my husband got sick, and because I took care of him while he was sick, and the experience therein made me realize I probably had missed my calling, because even while he was sick and while I was taking care of him, he kept telling me I had missed my calling. I didn't understand what that was, and I was like, okay, what would you like me to do? And he said, I think you should be a nurse. I said, that would mean going back to school, because I had done BCom, I enjoyed being in marketing. But it wasn't until he passed away that I looked back, and of course a lot of mistakes had been made. And for many years I was angry. I also wanted to find out what really went wrong. I remember talking to his doctor just after he had died, and I said, I know you made some mistakes. I don't know what they are, but my instinct is not wrong. And I promised him I'll one day come back and I'll tell you what happened. And I'm glad that I have now found that out, and I'm ready to have that conversation with him.
Wow. That must have been painful for you to think that the death of your loved one could have been prevented.
Yes.
That must have been very painful. Is that what you mean when you're talking about anger? Is that what you were angry about?
Yes. And initially, my search was to find out what happened. I have children because my late husband left me with 2 sons. He was sick for a long time. I didn't know, is it a genetical disease? Is it something that's going to show up in my child? What will I do? So I really wanted to find out the answers. I also wanted to find out what really went wrong, because here I was feeling guilty. Did I make the right decisions?
Okay. Are you to blame in any
did
way?
I take too long to transfer him to another hospital? Did I ask the right questions? And I was guilty. I felt bad about myself, and I was like, what am I going to do about this? And so I wanted to search and find that out. And initially, when I used to tell myself, I'm going to write a book. I wanted to write a book, but at that time I was angry. So first of all, I was angry at myself. Where did I miss it? Did I make the right decisions? Did I make the wrong decisions? What could I have done? I was angry at the doctors. Why didn't you see this coming? What could you have done better? I was angry at the hospital. Why don't we have a policy that works? For example, for a blood donation, I would be told to get people to donate blood, And then I'll be told the blood was stolen from the blood bank. In a
What?
hospital, this is Kenyatta National Hospital. And yes, I am calling you out, Kenyatta National Hospital. We can do better than that. And I was just angry with that. And I was angry at God. Like, I prayed. I've been a Christian all my life. And I was like, God, I prayed. You know I prayed.
You were hoping you have scored enough points with
Yes.
God, surely, that on your day of need,
Yes.
He's going to come through.
And he tells me that if
you
you call to me on your day of need, I will
I'm
answer.
going to come through for you. So
Only
you're telling
he
me,
didn't
please
tell me
save my
how he
husband.
was going to answer. Looking back, he answered. I didn't know he was answering then, you know. But then with time, I realized the anger was not helping me. Yes, I was angry. The hospital did not change. People are still dying. Mistakes are still being made in the hospital. I'm sure as late as yesterday or this evening or this hour, a mistake is being made.
It's just human.
Yeah, it's just human. We're human beings, you know. But that is what led me to my journey. Like you asked me, what made me change careers?
So let's just get this out of the way. So you did not go into nursing because it makes more money, because a lot of people are of the notion that if you migrate to the West, there's more money to be made in nursing. So you did not go into nursing for the money.
No, I did not go into nursing for the money.
Okay.
When I first relocated to the US, which I went to the US because I was running away.
Okay.
I had been widowed at 30 years old. Our African culture does not know what to do with widows. You're blamed, first of all, that you killed your husband. You're like, how did I kill my husband? I'm left with the children. How
does that
can
make
I be?
sense?
You know, and so I felt the community judged me, my family. You know, they were trying to be there, but they don't want you to express yourself. They want you to get over the grieving and go on with life. Life, you know, continue. I can't
Like
continue.
your grief was inconveniencing.
Yes.
Okay.
And I hadn't even grieved.
Okay.
Because remember, I had my youngest son was 6 months. So I was breastfeeding. I have to be strong for this child. So I haven't grieved. So I'm almost like a zombie. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So I was running away. And I was like, my prayer was like, God, get me away from this country. I was ready to go and live in the Sahara Desert, anywhere where nobody knew me, because I felt like...
You wanted a clean slate. You wanted to start your life over.
Yes.
Okay. I actually remember you calling me on no notice at all and telling me, Christine, I'm on my way to the airport.
Yeah.
I did not know you were planning to go. For me, it was a complete surprise.
Yes.
But now I understand.
Yes.
Now I understand.
And, you know, and looking back, I was on survival mode. So even how I now went to the US was I met somebody who was a Nigerian, but an American Nigerian. And we got talking. He had his issues. I had my issues. I wanted an escape route. So I was like, you can get me there. We'll fix the rest. Big mistake. It worked for 7 years, but for me, I wanted out. That was my way out. And yes.
Just a quick comment, and I don't want to completely, go over what we did in the previous video, because the link to it is down here and you can watch that if you want. Mm-hmm. But you are able to talk about having been in more than one marriage.
Yes.
That is very out of the box for us Africans, because we tend to be socialized to feel responsible if a marriage doesn't work, and especially for us ladies, so that people are startled. And I'm speaking from the reactions I got from the other, from when I uploaded the other video. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you have a calling? Do you feel like part of your message is to liberate women, like to tell us, it's okay if this marriage doesn't work, that doesn't speak to who you are, you can move on and get married to someone else?
Yes, absolutely. And first of all, before I even talk to women and marriage, I want to talk to Christians. Salvation is about grace. It's mercy. It's the grace of God. None of us deserve it, okay? And so thinking that we can earn it through actions, or that God is going to look past, oh, Joyce got married here, got married. He doesn't. And then the situation...
I think you might want to say that again. You might want to say that again. It doesn't make me any less godly to walk away from a marriage that isn't working.
No.
Because I feel like in our society, and I don't know how Christianity is practiced elsewhere, I'm talking about the society in which I live, we tend to look brave.
Yes.
We tend to live through pain and a lot of anger and sorrow and all of that.
Yes.
Some through physical abuse.
Yes.
Just so that we're a nice Christian couple.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like I said, first of all, let's understand the salvation is by grace. I can't say that enough. It is by grace. None of us can earn it. Just think about it. Jesus died for you before you were born. And he promised you eternal life. You think he didn't know that Jesus was going to get married 2-3 times? He knew. He still forgave me.
Okay.
So I have a clean slate. That for me was my liberation. That God, you're not judging me. You know, this situation is painful. And then our African society, I'm widowed at 30. Nobody is giving me a chance. In the tradition, my husband was lawyer, so they tell you they're giving you an inheritor. The person inheriting you is an old man. In my case, the man came there that even had jiggers. Can you imagine how traumatizing that is?
I know I'm not supposed to be laughing.
Laugh. But just imagine.
And that is immediately after your husband's burial.
That is after you bury your husband. This person or suitor is being brought to you. I'm thankful that I came from a family that was strong. And so my family, like my grandmother was like, okay, if you people, somebody has to stay, I'm going to stay. My grandchild has her whole life ahead of her. She's going. If we must stay.
So you buried your husband and left the home?
Left the home.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I can understand why you say, I think you referred to this in the last conversation, that family is still angry with you.
Yes.
They still feel like there's a gap that's left. Now I can understand that you walked away from that. So you think that all of this was God drawing you towards the future calling in which you are going to be? Yes,
because I'm thinking like, God doesn't waste anything, not even pain, okay? And for years I asked God, why me? And God has a sense of humor. Sometimes his response to me was, why not you? And I was like, God, that's mean. Like, why not me? Why would you want to put that in me? But when God answers you with a question, he's just drawing you in to have a conversation with him. And I was like, okay, God, you've told me, you've told me in Isaiah 1:18, come, let's reason together. And I'm like, God, we need to reason about this one. Because it's not fun to leave me with a 5-year-old and a 6-month-old, and here I'm being told I've killed my husband. We need to reason. I mean,
the people who are supposed to have been your comfort and your support are the enemy.
Yes.
And here you are with a baby who knows none of it.
Yes.
So you still have to bring home the bacon.
Yes.
That must have been tricky.
Yes.
That must have been tricky.
Yes.
So how did you get over your anger to where you're able to now finally put it in a book and use your experiences to teach other people? What was the moment that made you decide, I'm going to write a book?
I think the experiences that I had gone through, realizing that my anger was not helping me. Just to go back, I had lost my mom when I was 7 years old. And I had lost my mom because my mom was trying to have a son. She had 1 son and 4 daughters, and she was kept trying to have a son. Just feeling that, I don't know, for some reason she felt...
A boy is a superior baby.
Yes. And so she was trying to have a son. Back and having pregnant back to back. When my mother died, I was told she was bewitched. Having gone through nursing school.
She died in childbirth?
In childbirth.
Okay.
I just realized I learned that she actually died of a condition called preeclampsia, which is a hypertensive situation in an expectant woman. So she was trying to have the baby, her blood pressure went up. And that's what killed her. Okay? And so I looked back at that, and then I'm like, okay, then my husband also had died, and my sister died right after my husband. And I was like, there were decisions that should have been made that hadn't been made. And this anger just kept building. I was getting more angry at God, more frustrated at God. And I was like, okay, God, you have to help me with this, because this is not, staying angry is not helping me. And that was at that point where I was like, okay, God, why me? And he said, why not you? And I was like, okay, God, help me understand this. Unpack this for me. What do you mean? Why not me? And the Lord just took me back to remembering everything. Like I remember at my husband's funeral, which was at his funeral service at Nairobi Pentecostal Church. The pastor that was officiating is actually a family friend, still a friend of ours. And I remember him saying, Joyce, today your status has changed. Your new name is widow. I did not hear anything else in that sermon apart from widow. It was like he was
putting a coat. It's like he was cocooning you in a new reality.
Yes. And all I had, even as I went to bury my husband, was widow, 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 widow. Like it was like, And I was like, and the Lord brought that back to me. And then he reminded me, go and find out what I do for widows. And I looked back, and God said, he's a husband to the husbandless. And as I tried to look back, I realized I had never lacked.
Oh,
God had
wow.
provided for me,
Wow.
like he says. He had opened doors for me. And my attitude started changing. My mind started
You now saw it as a positive thing.
So my mind started getting transformed. I started approaching it from gratitude as opposed to anger. But
God, that, just to be clear, that took a while.
A long time.
Okay.
That took a long time.
Okay.
And I can talk about it now. As I was writing the book, I still cried about it. Because the memories came back. Actually, one of the situations that came back was that one of the days was February is still a very hard month for me because that's when my husband died and that's when he got buried. And my in-laws were not very nice to me. And so it's been 20 years. And my brother-in-law, who now lives in Canada, called me and he just wanted to do a tribute for his brother. And he called me, he was like, can you tell me something? And I was angry. I mean, it opened an old wound. And I'm thinking, your brother, who was your friend, died 20 years ago. You never came to look for his children, came to find out how we were doing. Now you want me to tell you something about him, for you to put happy 20th anniversary or happy what? I said, do your thing. I don't want to be a part of it. And he didn't understand me, but his wife is my friend and she called me later on and she said, Joyce, was that a little bit out of it? And I told her, you know what? I've never told your husband I'm angry at him. We need to have this conversation. I think I'm now ready to face
to finally talk about it.
That I'm upset with you. I have forgiven you, but I'm upset with you. Yes, because
you need to know that this and this and this that you did angered me.
Yes.
And in the place that I was, you were not there for me.
You were not there for me.
Okay.
And you coming up today and even asking me, how are the children doing?
20 years later. That conversation is 20 years too late.
And they are looking like you, like, who are you?
We barely know you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You know? So you decided you were going to transfer all of that experience, to bottle all of it in a message.
Yes.
So in a nutshell, what is this message? What do you want us to learn by reading this book? The book is Caregiving, The Momentum of a Decision by Joyce Owaga. I'm going to put a link to how you can find this book in the information section. But just to brief us, what do you want us to learn through this book?
Through this book, I want to be a voice, you know? And my life story, like I say, it starts from the time when my mother dies at 7 years old. I want to be an advocate, a voice to that 7-year-old who has been forced to be a caregiver because they are the oldest of the children and their mother has died.
Okay.
And I also want to tell this 7-year-old, I appreciate you. Your childhood has been taken away from you. You feel like nobody cares. But I want you to know that somebody cares. I want you to know that somebody sees you and appreciates what you're doing. You know, I also want this book to be a voice. My story again is a little unique. When my mother died, her sister came to take care of us. And it was an enormous sacrifice because she was like 24 years old and inherited 5 children. She's done an excellent job. Have we always been nice to her? No. Have the community, the relatives always been nice to her? No. I know that she's had situations where her own sister sometimes has come to her, these are also our sister's children. Why is it you're the only one they buy things for? I remember one time I had bought her a dress and her sister wanted the dress and I said, Mom, do not give it to her. And I had to look at my aunt and tell her, you didn't do as much as she did. So she deserves to enjoy the fruits of her labor.
She lost her childhood as well.
She lost her childhood.
She was suddenly this, on her marriage, on her wedding day, she already had 5 children.
Yes.
Grown children with an attitude who were grieving their mother.
Yes.
She was grieving her sister.
Yes.
She was going through so much at the same time.
Yes.
No one had prepared her to be a mother. Mm-hmm. And then years later, her other sister is asking her, but we are their aunties too.
Yes, we are the aunties too. Why do you seem like you're the one being favored? Forgetting she stepped in to be a mom, And I want to talk to that woman because I know this is a practice that is practiced in some communities in Africa. This woman who takes over these children of her dead sister, nobody thanks them. Nobody comes back to tell them, you were forced into caregiving. I kept telling my dad and mom as we grew up that I used to make fun of my dad and say, you never took mom for a honeymoon. And I used to tell him, one of my prayers, and this was a sincere prayer on my prayer list, that God bless me one day with money that I can pay for my parents' honeymoon. And I am glad I've been able to do that.
That's
As a matter
beautiful.
of fact, in 2 days, I'm taking
You're
them
taking them on a vacation. That's the one thing I admire about you. You
Yes.
take your parents on vacation
Yes.
every single year. We are learning.
Yes.
We are following. We do take our
I'm
parents.
actually taking my mom on belated honeymoon.
Oh,
I usually
that's
call her your honeymoon.
beautiful.
You know, and I
That's
make my
just
dad,
beautiful.
and he's old school, he's almost 80, I make him hold her hand.
Yeah.
He's used to it now, but the first time it was awkward, you know. But,
That's
you know,
beautiful. But I like the perspective you're giving caregiving, because, for example, when you first talked to me about your book on caregiving, what I had in mind was caregiving of the ill.
Yes.
Because you had taken care of your husband. But you're giving me a whole new perspective. You're talking about caregiving like you're a young girl of 7, you're firstborn of your siblings, and so you're thrown into caregiving
Yes.
of
You
your
become
siblings.
a mom at 7.
And then your mother, the new mother, is also thrust into caregiving.
Yes.
Because she became a mother.
Yes.
All of a sudden.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's why I call it caregiving, the momentum of a decision. At 7 years old, nobody gives you a decision. Mom is dead, you're the oldest, learn how to cook. You have to make this decision.
It's not a choice that you make.
Not a choice you make.
All of a sudden find your circumstances all different, and now you have to take over a role that you did not know.
Yes.
But I think there's also a large part of caregiving that has to do with us taking care of the ill in our families.
Correct.
Because almost everybody at one point in their life will find themselves in a situation where they are taking care of somebody who is ill. I know of my friends, I know of my family members, of people who now have someone in their family that they have to take care of. What is your message to these people?
In fact, one of the quotes I made I came across when I was writing this book, which really fitted, and I have quoted it in my book. It's by Laura Bush. And she says there are only 4 categories of people in this world. The first category is people who have been caregivers. You've taken care of somebody. The second category is people who are currently caregiving. The third category is people who will be caregivers. And the fourth category is people who will need
Caregiving.
So you will either need caregiving,
or
you are a
will be
caregiver currently, you have been a caregiver, or you will be a caregiver. So the truth is, each one of us,
all of us,
at some point in our life, are going to be caregivers. As a matter of fact, you have been a caregiver and you are in these 4 categories. Remember when you were a baby, you needed care.
You needed care.
Somebody took care of you. And because somebody took care of you, if you keep that in mind, remember this parent who took care of you. Now they're 80 years old, they have dementia, they have diabetes, they have hypertension. Why should it be so difficult for you to take care of?
Or they're just slower. Sometimes we get impatient with older people. Because they're walking slower.
Yes.
Because they are reacting slowly, or they are driving slowly. They're just coming up the stairs slower. They're thinking slower. If you think that this person was your caregiver, it changes your perspective, doesn't it?
It makes you stop and think. At one point, I needed care. I was a baby. Somebody changed my diaper. Somebody taught me how to take my first step. Now they need my care. Okay? And because each one of us is going to get to that point, I'm sure most of us, for us now, we are in our 50s. Our parents are probably in their 70s, their 80s. They are needing our care. Let's begin to prepare. This day is coming. And that really is my message to all of us. Start preparing. What preparations can you make?
That was my next question.
Start having these conversations with your parents. Okay? Would you like us to take you to a nursing home? I know probably that doesn't work here, but we are getting there.
We are.
Because we are busy.
We are. I know of a few people whose parents
have been
homes.
taken.
Yeah.
Okay, who is your doctor? Okay, are you keeping logs of their doctor's visits? Do you have their doctor's telephone number on your phone so that you can call and, prepare them? Do you have for them records where this is your last visit? When was their last visit? Some of us, have you ever taken your parents just to see the doctor for just, the annual care? Take them, just that, so that you're keeping up with it. Listen to your parents when they are talking. If you go and you notice your dad is talking slower, he's forgetting more, Find out. Stop and think. Don't just be, we go once a year. My parents make fun of my siblings and tell them, it's amazing that Joyce comes from the US and comes every year, and you who are here in Kenya.
We may not have seen you since the last time Joyce was here.
Yes.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's a huge challenge.
It's a shame. I tell my siblings, shame on you. They feel bad sometimes, but I'm like, shame on you. Shame on you.
I remember somebody once telling us, a pastor actually, he said, at this stage in your life, your parents don't want your things.
No.
They want you.
They want you.
Sometimes I go to my parents and just tell them, I've not come for any reason.
Yeah, I've just come to sit.
I did not come for any reason.
Yes.
I just came.
Yeah, just like even me for the next 4 or 5 days that I'm going to be sitting with my parents, we sit.
There's no specific agenda. There's no problem to solve.
Yes.
You're just enjoying one another's company.
And as I'm talking to them, I notice,
That's
okay, my mom starts telling me, oh, this day, some days I wake up, my heart is beating fast. I'm like, okay, there might be a blood pressure issue there. We have it in our background. Another thing we all need to do is do your family history. What kind of diseases have been there? Is there a history of hypertension in your family? Is there a history of diabetes? Is there a history of
But
stroke?
Joyce, there's a way, let's be African here. There's a way, because I remember we had this conversation with my dad and he said, I'm not writing my will because if I do, I will die. We tend to assume away death in our African culture. Doesn't it sound like we are caught in trouble if we start seeing the doctor, if we start digging up our history? Did we have diabetes in our family? Did my auntie die of cancer? Are we not caught in problems? What would you say?
No, we are not, because even the Bible says we die because of lack of knowledge. Same thing in the medical field. Sometimes we say when we go to see our doctors, what I don't know will not kill you. It will kill you. It will kill you. Okay? Because if you knew, you would start being proactive. I see like a lot of people in the West, the white people, they even have their families writing down, this sister had cancer, this one and this. And today, even if you go to see to visit the doctor, and it might be different here, but I think it is something that should be included. They'll ask you history of illness in your family.
No, I remember filling a form when I was first having a child. They ask you what are the conditions in your family.
Yes.
Do you have people in your family who are diabetic? Do you have people in your family with this? I remember when I was ticking that form, do we have this in our family? They asked, does anybody have twins in our family? And I laughed about it.
Yes.
Twins was such a faraway thought, and I was actually pregnant with twins. I just remember that. But we do get asked, what is the history in your family?
Yes.
So that then are you prone to these conditions?
And we should be more intentional about that. Don't only ask it when you go to the doctor's office. Have it written. I remember there's something you asked about, your parents saying if they write their will, and there's a lot of mind change and shift that needs to be done, but we are not living our life's age. We are more knowledgeable, more enlightened now.
Very true.
Go around it. Go around it. Dad, what would you like to give to be done if you were not here? Put it in a story. Our parents like stories. We have to look at what generation they were. For my dad, that's how we started that conversation, because there was one time when he was sick, he didn't think he was going to make it. And he was like, he wrote his will. That didn't go too well, because he not only wrote it, he decided to read it.
Oh, he called everyone and read it.
Everyone.
I've had experiences with that as well.
Yeah. I'm glad he did, because we saw the reactions and he did. So he's had to rethink it. I'm hoping that we can mend that rift before he leaves. I'm glad that happened, because some of the reactions were not very nice. And I was thinking, wow, can you imagine if you were opening
this was happening when he's not there?
Yes.
I remember a lawyer friend of mine telling me, please discuss all your land and houses, staff issues among yourselves while your parents are alive. Because as soon as your parents are not there, you will be surprised at what will happen.
You will be shocked at how your brother or your sister turns into a monster. And you'll be like, do I know you? So I think that is important, and that's part of the caregiving. Let's have these conversations. I think wishing them away is not helpful.
Burying my head in the sand and hoping that my parents will never be sick.
Yes.
Is foolhardy.
Is being stupid. Even right now, thinking that my parents can do it. They can't. Go to Shags, make for your parents a toilet they can sit on.
My favorite challenge to everybody. That's my favorite challenge to everybody.
When you go Shags,
you struggle to go to that toilet.
Why are you thinking an 8-year-old can sit on it? Go make a toilet. It's not expensive. And those are some of just the caregiving things. Find out from them what it is. Change some of their diet around. Okay, I know you've been eating ugali and all that. Can we reduce the portion? Can we eat it at 5 or 6
Just make them
instead
conscious of the small decisions they
Yes.
need to make.
Yes.
Even if I'm not living there with them.
Yes.
Just make them conscious of some of the decisions they need
Yes.
to make their
And help
Help.
them. Like I always call my dad. Dad, have you done your walk today? From where to where? So I know it's in the compound. Then he tells me, oh, I've gone, I've seen the cows, and then I came round on
You
this other
know
side.
how
Then I know he's made
distant.
his lap.
For you to be able to tell your dad, go take a walk.
Yes.
First of all, it means you're in touch with him
Yes.
and you have that rapport with him.
Yes.
Because I won't call my dad, who I haven't spoken to in 6 months, and tell him, Dad, have you had your walk for today?
Yes.
So I think I like what you're talking about, being intentional.
Yes.
You want to be able to cultivate this relationship
Correct.
with your parents.
Yes.
And it may not be, we might be speaking to people who may not have their parents alive.
Yes.
It may not be your parent, it could be your spouse, it could be your child.
Correct.
Whichever member of the family needs your care, that's who we're talking about here.
Yes.
We're only giving the example of your dad because that's whose care we are talking about at this point. Yeah, but I like that you have cultivated a relationship with your parents, because a lot of the people who live in the diaspora are gone from our reality. They are really not in our day-to-day.
Yes.
I've complimented you for this over the years. You're one person who comes to Kenya very regularly, once or twice every year.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good thing that you do.
Yeah.
That way you're in touch with your parents, not just sending them dollars.
Yes.
You're in touch with them. But I would like to address the issue of the mentality, the state of mind of the caregiver.
Okay.
There's the feeling victimized, whether it be my spouse, whether it be my child, my parent, who suddenly becomes incapacitated. There's a part of me that's angry at them for getting sick. There's a part of me that's angry at life, at God, at whatever, for putting me in this situation.
Yes.
You're saying you went through a lot of years when you were angry for finding yourself in this position. What advice would you give to those people who suddenly find their life is invaded, their life is derailed, and now they have to full-time caregive to someone?
First of all, acknowledge your feelings. The truth is, this role has interrupted your life. You didn't ask for it, you didn't care for it. I've actually done a whole chapter on that, and I'm saying I was angry. It interrupted my life. I had to wake up, go to the hospital 3 times a day. I had a baby, I was breastfeeding. I had to interrupt their breastfeeding.
And all this while you had a job.
And I had a job, And so acknowledge your feelings. Take breaks for yourself. Okay? There's one lady who talks about caregiving. She talks about it this way. Caregiving is care gifting. Caregiving is care gifting. Now, you can't give somebody a gift of what you don't have. How are you going to be strong or give strength or give encouragement when you're frustrated? Take time. Have days when you say, I am tired, I have to rest. And I know sometimes that's not practicable. Like I had to wake up every day to go to the hospital. I could have used my family for them to come sometimes. Include them. Let them understand how hard it is.
Because at that point you had a superhuman, you were being a superwoman in that point.
I was doing what I thought
you
I
felt
had to
this,
do.
yes, this is my burden and I'll carry it.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, I vowed till death in sickness
and in health.
and
So
in health.
this is in
So
sickness.
this is in sickness.
So it's okay to ask for help.
It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. And that's why it is important to start planning for this thing early. Have your friends who you talk to. Talk to your siblings. If you people don't have a relationship, when there is a problem, am I going to call you today, Christina, and say, oh, Christina, I know I have a problem. Come and help me. I have to have a rapport with you. I have to have a relationship.
True.
Then I can tell you this and this. I have this issue. How can you help me? So have that relationship. For the caregiving, where the caregiving is to yourself. Like today you wake up, you go into the doctor, and you're told you've been diagnosed, for example, with cancer. Stop internalizing it to yourself. Talk about it. Go. Google is a good resource. Google who are the cancer survivors. Find them. Talk to them. Find the blogs. Find the information.
Let me ask a layman's question here. What does talking about something do?
First and foremost, anytime, there's a saying that says, a problem shared is a problem half solved. Just you verbalizing, first of all, makes you realize it's not as big as you thought.
Okay.
It also makes you realize you're not the first person to go through it.
Okay.
Somebody else has walked through that. And so you're finding guidelines, you're finding solutions.
Tips on how I can survive.
This person did it. How did you do it? You're finding people, a buddy who can walk with you, encourage you, strengthen you. Okay. So stop trying to, you're keeping it a secret.
Brave it.
And then families, stop saying, oh, we have to keep this in the family. Keeping it in the family, the other person across the road might be the family that has the solution. Talk about it. Talk. Right now, we just have a funeral. I've lost a cousin who just committed suicide.
And that's not something we talk about.
Affair. I wish she had talked to us.
Oh dear.
I wish she had talked to us. You know, we could have been like, why? You know, he's not even good enough.
Don't give him your life. Yes. Come on.
But because you internalize it, you think it is you think it's the end of the world. So share, talk, have a confidant, have one person who at least you can talk confide to, share somebody, have a sibling in the family who is your friend, who you can say, this I can share with this one person at least. Have at least one person. If you can't, write it down. Tweak. Throw it on social media and
get people to comment.
People comment. You know, you don't have to put your name there. Tell a friend to post it for you. Now we have the different blogs where people are, post for me this. Get people to post for you.
So that then you get other people talking about it and you realize other people have lived through this thing. I too can survive this.
You get solutions, you get ideas, and then form a team. Okay. If you find a diagnosis, I'll just go on the cancer one because that's what I mentioned. Find a team. You know, find a team of people. In that team, make sure you have a doctor, you have a nurse, you have a psychologist, you know, you have, a financer, so that you're given the holistic picture. What are the finances that are going to be involved? What kind of care am I going to do? What are the lifestyle changes I need to have? All those people in your team. Always ask for a second opinion. A doctor just told you, oh, you've been diagnosed with this and this. Don't keep quiet. Go find a second opinion, even a third opinion. Don't let one person decide your death penalty. No. Just go and find out what else, who else, Ask. I can't say that enough. Ask. Caregivers both ways. The person needing care, the person giving care. Ask.
Okay.
Ask. Okay. You will always get an answer. But don't die with this thing by yourself. And it's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to vent. How do you vent? Shout. If there are days you need to go into your house, scream. After you scream, take a deep breath. You'll be fine. If you're somebody who journals, take a journal. Write letters to God. Some of the ways I got rid of my anger, I would write a letter to God. God, I'm annoyed with you today. Why would you like this? Look now, And at the end of it, I'll be peaceful.
The pain comes out. Okay.
Talk to yourself in the mirror. Encourage yourself. Validate yourself. Tell yourself, I've done well. If you're a caregiver, I want to really, really talk to caregivers and encourage them. You are doing a great job. You are doing good. If nobody has told you thank you. And at the back of my book, I wondered what I was going to put at the back of that book. And God told me, write a prayer for caregivers. And so the prayer is, the letter is, dear caregiver, thank you so much for accepting your schedule to be interrupted, for helping when you did not feel like helping, for allowing your emotions to be messed up, because your emotions goes with the emotions of this person. And for now, step back and take time to heal. Sometimes as a caregiver, you'll take care of somebody and they die. You feel frustrated. I just had a friend who went through that. And she's so devastated because she gave everything. It interrupted her job. It interrupted her schedule.
And she lived on the hope that this person will recover and get better.
Yeah. It even messed up her marriage because she had just gotten married. And her husband was like, I didn't sign up for this. And she was forced in a choice where she had to choose between her brother and her husband. Of course, she chose her brother. But she lost her marriage. And then her brother died.
Now died.
So she's mourning two things. The dead
her
brother
marriage
and
is
her
gone.
marriage.
Okay.
So just step back and take time. Take time to be angry. Take time to look through. Take time to heal. Find a psychologist. somebody you can talk to, who can give you the right professional help. And you have those in the church. You have them, they are now available. It's not like it's a resource that it's way out there. It's now available. Don't break down because you never asked for help.
Wow, yeah, you've reminded me of a quote I read. There's the clinical psychologist who said, feel the pain until it no longer needs to be felt.
Yes.
Because if you bottle the pain, then it will come out another place.
Yes.
So if you need to feel the pain, feel the pain.
Yes.
Feel the pain.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Joyce, as usual, we will never finish this conversation.
Yes.
We will never finish this conversation. This has been very eye-opening for me.
Yes.
Thank you so much for allowing your life to speak to other people, for allowing your experiences, for allowing God to use you in the profound way that He has. And like we said at the beginning, this book is going to be available. We are going to put this in the information where you're able to find this book, and then you can read yourself a copy. It's available in paperback and also in ebook version. You will be able to reach this, and you can always reach out to Joyce. I had a lot of requests from people who wanted to get in touch with Joyce. I will put her contact information at the bottom here. If you're reading this on Joyce's page, of course, her contact information will be there. We are both going to be posting this on our pages. This has been a great pleasure, Joyce.
Yes.
I really thank God. I am humbled that I have been a small part of your journey.
I am so thankful too. One writer once asked, he was a Jew who had a German guy who had rescued the Jews who were part of the Holocaust. And as he was being interviewed and being thanked for the number of Jews that he had rescued, he kept crying and crying. And the person interviewing him did not understand why he was crying, because he told him, you did such a good job. And he said, no, I did not. No, I did not. Because why did I keep my big car? If I had sold it, I would have saved another 100 souls, another 2 souls, another 3 souls. Let it be in our interest to want to reach out, to want to be a blessing, to want to change somebody's life. Never think your story doesn't matter. It matters. There is somebody out there that is going to be encouraged. There is somebody out there that is waiting for this story of yours so that it can change, it can transform their lives, it can give them hope, it can comfort them. The only thing that we can take to us to heaven is another soul.
Wow.
The only thing that we can carry with us to heaven is another soul.
None of these things we
things will matter.
The things we invest our lives in, none of them will go with us into the afterlife.
But that one person
that you could
and
take.
When you minister to one person, you minister to a generation.
Wow. I'm going to say nothing else. I'm going to add nothing else. This has been a great pleasure. And until we meet again, have a very nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.